In this video, we're going to learn about the pattern of using do-while loops with a condition of 0 in function-like macros in C. So in C, you may have seen function-like macros like this. We'll have a function-like macro foo with a parameter x, and we'll have here do, and we'll call a function bar, and we'll pass it x, and we'll have bar with x plus 1, and then we'll have here while 0. So you may have seen this pattern. The reason why people do this is it allows us to execute multiple statements as part of a function-like macro in a way that's not going to break if statements. So we could have a function-like macro execute multiple statements like this. We could just have foo(x) and then bar x, and then we'll have semicolon bar x plus 1 semicolon. And we could define bar. Here we'll have void bar int x, and we'll make a simple function that's going to accept an int as an argument and just output the int. So we'll have printf, and we'll have %d\n to output the int followed by a new line, and then we'll output x here. And then down here, we can use foo like a function. We could have foo, and let's say 10, and then semicolon. And if we save the program and compile it and run it, we'll get here 10 and 11. Because what happened was the preprocessor replaced this here with bar 10 and bar 10 plus 1. And then bar is called with 10, and 10 is going to be output, and bar is called with 10 plus 1, and so 11 is going to be output. And then this here is what's called a null statement. It's not going to do any work. Now, if we try this in an if-else statement, it's not going to work. So if we have if 1 is equal to 1, and then foo 10, and then else, we'll have printf with else case followed by a new line. Then if we save the program and try to compile it, we'll get an error here. It says expected expression else. So what's happened is if this here is replaced with bar called with 10, and then bar called with 10 plus 1, we have an error because we're only supposed to have one statement if we don't have curly braces for a block of code after this close bracket here. So what we could try to do is put this code inside of curly braces. We could have here curly brace and then curly brace. This still won't fix the issue though. We'll save the program and try this. We'll compile it. And again, we'll get an error because if we replace this with this here, we'll have bar called with 10 and bar called with 10 plus 1. And while this block of code here is okay, due to this semicolon, we have a null statement, and that's not valid. After this block of code that comes after the if condition, we shouldn't have a statement. C expects else here next. So we could just have foo 10 with no semicolon like this. And if we save the program and compile it, that's going to work. The problem is this doesn't match our expectations for how C should work. We expect a semicolon here. So what we could do is use a do-while loop with a condition of 0. We could have here do and then while with a condition of 0. Then, if we save the program and compile it, it's going to work. And we can run it, and we'll get the expected result. So if we replace foo10 here with this code here, and we'll sub in 10 for x, so we'll have bar called with 10, and bar called with 10 plus 1, this here is valid. Because instead of a null statement, this semicolon here becomes the usual expected semicolon after while and the condition in a do-while loop. Now in C, 0 is considered false. So this do-while loop body is only going to execute once. And in fact, there's not going to be any overhead to using a do-while loop. Because with the loop condition being the constant value 0, the compiler can see the loop is going to run only once. So this is why we see the pattern of using a do-while loop with a condition of 0 in function-like macros in C. Check out portfoliocourses.com, where we'll help you build a portfolio that will impress employers. including courses to help you develop C programming projects.